Hi everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Shellie Geigle with JS Hobbies and Crafts, and my Stamperia ceremony album is complete. And with the light coming in the window, you may not be able to see the details, so we're going to step on into the overview of this, where I'm going to show you what it looks like on the inside as well as the outside. A quick note is I did not call out for the Tim Holtz Distress Ink Vintage Photo Ink in the materials list. If you have a brown ink, or if you want to use this, I do use this quite a bit throughout the tutorial. Other than that, let's just take a look. This is a very large album. It's 8 by 10. So here we are, and this is the album that I made. We are 8" by 10", and we have a lot of lovely flowers and lace, and we have the Majestic Wedding Butterfly by Darling Art by Valerie that we carry in our store now. And there's our spine. Here we go. And I hope you can see this good. First page, page number 1, we have one of those lovely butterflies, and that just flops up. And then this is going to come down. This is a pocket. And I'm just going to remove these picture mats and tags. So we've got 3 pockets in there. And we open it up again, and we have a pocket here, or you can just lay a picture mat or your photo right on over there. So that's, you just slide right back in. This opens out, and we have a little belly band here, and I made with the leftovers some little fold-out cards. And I left them white. You can just plant your photo in there. And here is a pocket, and this is for you to place a photo, and you can slip it back behind part of this feather here. Got some picture mats, and we make one of these together. So this holds quite a bit. Page 2. So we have a very large side pocket here, and this is a pocket up front, and this is actually a picture mat that I made with some leftover trims, and nice large pocket. And this will hold more than what I put in here. Okay, next page, we have a large side pocket here. We have some tags. Over here, we have somewhere you can journal, and you can also fit smaller right back behind, like a photo or one of your picture mats. And this flips up, so it's very large. Great places. Now this one was designed just to start putting your photos. So as you can see. Next page is this one, and you can journal right here, and we have some really pretty stuff going on over here, and a large pocket. Put more stuff in it, invitations, whatever you like. Here what we have is a couple flip ups, and we have a free floating picture mat. I'll bring that down. These are magnetic. They just kind of come back down and hold that. Now this is huge. This just goes right on out. And we have a flip. You can put a photo or journal photo here. Over here, this is like a little pocket that you can slide stuff back behind, like I did. Here's another large pocket. The idea of this one was so that you can plant your photos, good size photos, as well as has storage. We will move on to the next one, and we have a double pocket. We also have this that you can slide back behind. Over here we have fussy cut out, and we have that. Here you can just slide this right on out for photo mounts to go in there. And these are magnetic and they flip up. So, large place, and this flips up. I'm not sure if you can see that. And this flips up. Here's another pocket. Very pretty, and I don't know if you can see the sparkling on this, but everything pretty much has stickles on it, and it really livens it up. It's just gorgeous. I really enjoyed this. Next page, we left this side alone because we're pretty thick in here. There's stickles, there's a cutout, and just plant your photos. Here is a band, and it's magnetic. Just flips up. Here we have our little side waterfall. And this folds out, and this folds out. Plenty of room to put pictures, and I put a picture mat there. And there's a huge pocket back here, just a stuff full of stuff. Last two pages right here, very pretty. We have a pocket up front. We did some work with that little card. And we also have a side, very large side pocket, so you can really get more than what I did in here. And over here, the last page, we have a large side pocket and a very huge picture mat. I wanted to show you exactly how big you can get in here. We're 7 and, well, we're 8 inches, but our pages are like 7 1/4. So this would be awesome for a 5 by 7, and you would still get the outline of your beautiful paper. So, and I think I had 2 sheets left over that I could have piled in more. So that is what we are making today. Oh, really quick before we started, I'm going to give you the materials list. However, you're going to want to go right below this video into the description area. Before you start this project, please download a copy of the materials list. You'll also want to view the materials list. I did forget to add the dies I used on the physical downloadable materials list. So watch the video, watch the materials list, jot down the dies I used and the punch. And also there is a downloadable now, a pre-cutting and scoring guide. That is going to give you all your measurements for the base album, for all the white cardstock, the flips, the folds, all that stuff in there. So do get that. That's a time saver. All right, now on to the materials list. Materials list. So let's go over the materials list for the Stamperia Ceremony 8x10 mini album. Alright, the base main ingredient is the Stamperia Ceremony paper, and it is absolutely amazing, guys. Check that out. I'm just going to do a real quick flip. Even the back has these lovely trim pieces. So we'll take a look as best we can here. We've got a lot of different cutouts to work with. It's just amazing. Look at those cutouts, those cut aparts. Just beautiful. Oh, I'm excited to get started on this, you guys. We're gonna make a gorgeous album. Okay, so because this is a larger album, and it is basically a wedding style album, we are going to need 3 packs of this to complete it, because there is only 10 double-sided sheets per pack. And I definitely don't want to run out. The pages inside of this album are larger, so it's going to take me a little bit more. So 3 of these. Chipboard. You're going to want 2 pieces of the medium weight 12 by 12 chipboard. And we're going to cut this down because we are making this album from scratch. Okay, for wrapping the album, I'm choosing to go with a 65-pound cardstock. And I'm just using the Doris or Coordination 65-pound weight. There's about 50 sheets in this value pack, but I'm also going to be using this for my picture mats, so it's not so thick. But I will be using the Coordination's 110-pound cardstock for my flip outs, my pockets, my main base pages, hinging system. You're going to want Tyvek, and Tyvek, you'll find it in envelope form or what, but we're going to need some strips off this to bind our album covers and spine, and it's a very durable, non-tearing type material. It's what's going to keep your album from possibly coming apart later down the road, so that it lasts for generations. Bling on a roll, I will be using this. It's very inexpensive, and you get 10 yards on it. And what it is we're going to be using the single row, and it's kind of like little, well, bling on a roll. Lace and trim. All right. So for the lace, I am going to use 1 yard of this, and this is something new in our store, and it's gorgeous, and it is a good high quality lace. And this is called Pointed Floral 3.5-inch Venice lace. Okay, so 1 yard. I'm also going to be using 1 yard of the open weave 2-inch Venice lace, and look how pretty that is. Very nice quality. I'll want 1 yard of the 3/4-inch flat Rochelle lace, and it's thin. And then I want the 3/8-inch rose trim. As you can see, it's pretty. It's got our little beads, and it's got just everything. It's cute. So about a yard of this. And you might have a little leftovers at the end to put in your stash for another project. So one thing is, you don't have to use the same lace as I do. Check your stash. As far as this, you may want to find something that is 3 in your stash if you're not using this, about 3.5 inches wide. Okay, for your tags and different things in the album, I'm going to be using, and this is about a 1/16 or an 1/8 inch white satiny ribbon. Now, I don't sell this. I just pick it up, and you can get this fairly cheap in any craft store. I will be using the Dritz Extra Large Hook and Eyes for my side closure, and in each one of these packs comes 3 sets. I've got 1 set left in this, so I'll be using it. And pretty much what you're going to have is the little flat side, the eye, and the hook. So that's what's going to keep our album shut on the side. For adhesives, I will be needing a 1/4-inch score tape. Well, that's what I'm using. Pack of that. And a pack of the 3/8-inch score tape. Glues, I'm going to be using my Art Glitter Dries Clear Glue, and it also comes with, it doesn't come with, you have to buy the metal tips separate, but that's what's going to save us on usage of glue. You don't need that much for this. It will last a lot longer with this little metal tip. I'm going to be using flower packs for this project. Now, this is the Shabby Rosebuds. It's kind of a pinky blush color. And we're only going to use some of these. I'm also going to be using the Shabby Roses blush colored larger flowers. I'm going to be using the Tim Holtz bouquet. They're the white flowers, and this is like a staple item for me now. I'm also going to be using the Small Fabric Peach Roses. And what they look like is this. And they're kind of a fabric-y, and they do have, it feels like a little bit of a stiffener on those, but they're really pretty. Although I'm using the bling on the roll, I'm also using a yard of this blingy trim. In this tutorial, I'm going to be using the Darling Art by Valerie, her 3 majestic wedding, I believe it's, yeah, majestic wedding butterflies. And she came down to the store, and we're selling her products now in our store. And I told her I needed a special butterfly for this wedding album, and she came up with these gorgeous, gorgeous beaded butterflies. And they have these little gems on the side, and they're very thick, and they've got gold on the back. And I just think it's just absolutely beautiful. It's going to work right on into our project. So you'll want one of these. Alrighty, I will be incorporating some of this really petite small pearl strand, and it's about a yard. We'll be using that to do some decorating. I'm going to be using some of the 5/16 fancy flatback pearls. If you don't have this one, that's okay. Use what you have. I'll be using some of these. Very pretty. And we cannot forget our stickles. And this is diamond stickles. If you have stardust or something like that, you can use that too. But what I'm using is the diamond. I will be using the Shabby Peach small flowers. Oh, aren't those gorgeous? And here is one I've taken off. Heavy duty craft magnets, you're going to want about 20 of them. So I sell them in the 10-pack. I'm going to be using dies for my trim pieces inside this album. However, if you're going to be using like the EK Tools paper punches, I'll show you some ideas for that. That would look really nice in this album. So a lot of you already have the Heartfelt Regal Borders and Pockets, and here's a little sample of what we can get out of that. And there's also this other one. I love this one, the shape, so I'm going to use that. So instead of having to buy a new die, if you've already got this, let's use this again. It's great in a wedding album. The Sweetheart Borders. Okay, I'm going to be using this trim die, and here is a sample of it. I think you can see what it looks like. It's very pretty. Okay, here's another die a lot of us already have from previous tutorials. It's the Heartfelt Creations Velour Borders Basics, and here is a sample of that, what we can get. And people who are using the punches, you can still get a nice cut too. So I do teach this so that both die cutters and people with the punches can make my albums. Okay, this is an oldie but a good one, and I love this in a wedding album. The one I like the most is this one you see here, and that's kind of like what it looks like. That is very pretty, and this is the Ornate Borders and Pockets by Heartfelt Creations. Okay, this is a newer die. It's large. From the Heartfelt Creations family. It's a frame of card leafy borders. Okay, and inside here you're going to get all of these, and you're going to get this, plus the little dies that fit around these little panels. But I wanted to kind of show you what the fan does, or the side decorative piece. So I die cut it out, and there's so many possibilities with this. Matter of fact, it is easily turned into a little corner pocket to stuff things in if we were to stick that on our page. Isn't that pretty? Also, it could also decorate. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to use it for decorating, but it sure is pretty. So I am going to be using that piece out of here. Now, a lot of you who haven't bought this yet or kind of look at that and say, what to do? Well, let me show you. I die cut this out without using the little brackets around, and I made a gorgeous, look, a gorgeous trim piece that could go many places in our album that will fit the wedding theme, and it's just gorgeous. Okay, as you can see, I've got this long piece. What I did was experiment to piggyback two of them, and it works because our pages may be a little bit longer than our die plate, so it is hard to see where I actually put the bracket down, die cut, put it down again, and die cut. Looks nice. Okay, paper punchers. Let's take a look at some different EK Tool punches that are out there that would look very nice in this album. One that I would recommend for this wedding album is embroidery. And what it looks like is this. It's very pretty. Now, one thing I am using in this, even though I'm die cutting, there is an EK Tools punch, and it's like a branchy one. And when you punch, it actually gives you this. And I'm going to have a whole lot of fun with this. So I will be using this one. And I want to show you some different things that you may see me use this in. So these little flight flowers are not glued down. But as you can see, what I did was I took some of the Tim Holtz little white flowers, and we can also ink those different colors. And I set it on top of the leafy, and the ink that I'm using is the Tim Holtz Distress Ink Peeled Paint. Paper punchers, another one that you might want to look at. I showed you embroidery, but you may want to use this one. Now, you don't have a full inch here to work with. This one is called Floral Vine, actually, but it's very pretty. Tools and equipment that you are going to want are a paper cutter, maybe a couple clamps or paper clamps or clips, something that's going to help you hold down that dritz while it dries. So binder clips work just as well. A ruler, craft knife, you'll need scoring board, scoring tools, some scissors, and you will want a pencil with a lead, mine just broke off, with an eraser. Okay, let's get started. So we are going to assemble the base album, and on your base album pre-cuts, I gave you the measurements for what you needed. Let's make sure you have the chipboard pieces needed. You should have two 8 by 10 chipboard and a 3-inch by 8-inch chipboard piece. Okay, for cardstock, we were looking at, in the 65-pound weight, we needed 2 of the 8 by 10 for the wrap, and 1 of 1 3/4 by 10. Now on each one of these, what I want you to write is on the shortest side, 8.5-inch side, I want you to put a 10 at the top, like I've done. It's going to help you so we don't accidentally get it the wrong way. Okay? We also, actually there were 1, 2, 3 of those 8.5 by 10 pieces. Okay, you should have also in the 110-pound 5 of the 7.5 by 10 1/16, and we labeled that base page. Okay. You should also have a 3-inch by 7.5-inch, and we called that inner spine cover. And then you would have 2 of the 2 by 8-inch Tyvek covers. For Tyvek, you should have 2 pieces that are 1.5-inch wide by 8 inches. The first thing that we're going to be working with is the assembly of the base album. So you had 3 sheets of 65-pound paper that were cut at 8.5 by 10. Okay? And then you also had a 1 3/4 by 10. Okay, this 65-pound is for wrapping our album, and I decided to go with the 65-pound because it is a little easier to wrap around our chipboard. If you do get the splits on the spine, no worries though, we will be wrapping lace around that. Okay, let's grab our 1/4 inch score tape. And I'm already into a pack of mine, so I'm going to use what I got here. I've zoomed back out here. So what we're going to do is we have the 10 at the top. We're going to grab our 1/4 inch score tape and we are going to lay that to the far right of this one, and this one. So let's do that. If you have any score tape by the time you're done tearing it off or clipping it that's hanging over the edge, you'll want to clip it. Okay. Quick tip about score tape. A lot of you have already heard this. I've said it before. It's a double-sided tape. However, it's almost impossible for us to keep our fingers off of it, okay? The more we touch it, the less potent it becomes. This is some really good stuff. But also, when you lay it down and you think you've smoothed it down, you'll want to use your bone folder to make sure it's down and there are no air bubbles caught underneath. And this is very important because air bubbles get caught underneath. Guess what? Over time, it dries the tape out underneath and it can start to lift. So use this every time on your score tape when you lay it. Okay, we have this piece. We'll get to that in a moment. What we're going to do is we're going to remove the score tape here and we are going to place our paper right over that score tape. And we want to keep it straight. So if you have a grid mat, that helps by lining it up and make sure it's straight. Release the score tape and line it up that way, make sure. But for me, I like to do the foolproof way because sometimes I can't see over my paper. So I have a flat edge on my paper cutter. Or you can do this on your scoring board too. And I like to use my craft knife so I'm not getting my fingers all on it, but it's to help release the backing off that score tape. So I've got one piece here and I'm just going to set it up against that edge to keep me straight. Okay, here's my next one. My score tape's over here. I'm going to just lift that and I'm going to place that up against there so it is straight. And I'm going to line this up so it overlaps. And then my chances of getting it on straight are good. So if you get it a little off, it's okay. So, and then we're going to use our bone folder and smooth that down to make sure there are no air bubbles. Pretty simple. And I'll release the score tape over here, the backing, and I'll grab my next sheet. I'll place this up so it's nice up flush against that, this one too. And I'll just bring this right over, whoops, I moved the top. And burnish that down really good. Okay, so for this one's really simple. This one's just going to attach just like this. So easy. Get the backing off there. Are you excited about making your album? I am. This one's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, got it on there. Alrighty, we're good. Alright, so you want your pencil at this time. And grab one. I'm sorry if this is shaking around. The way this is situated anymore, it's just the arm of my video recorder, the boom arm, is getting old. Okay, chipboard, 8 by 10. We're not going to lay it like this. We're actually going to lay it like this. So grab your ruler, whichever one that you are using, that you're comfortable with, and we're going to measure in 1 inch from the side here. Oh, I have no lead. Here we go. This one does. And I'll make a pencil mark. I'm going to measure down from the top the same, about 1 inch. Okay. Now what I can do is just kind of put those up against each other there so I can see. And when I place this, I'm going to make sure I'm straight. So if you want to, once you place this down, if you want to measure, you should have approximately 1 inch here and 1 inch here. Once you have it straight, use your pencil and draw around it. That's what I do because it makes it easier in placing once we have the adhesive on our chipboard. Now we're not going to have to erase these lines because we're not going to see them when we're done. Okay, so that's what you should have. Alright, we're going to measure from the side here, pencil mark. Let's just measure out, that should be plenty. Okay, we need our spine piece, which is a 3 by 8. And we're just going to line that up next to our pencil mark. Okay, making sure it's straight, same amount up here. And what I like to do now, because it does help, is I just lay my ruler down to make sure that it's straight down there. And you can always maneuver it. But now we're going to draw around this piece. There. Okay, from this side, we're going to go do what we did over there. And now I place this one right next to it, right on that line there. I can still see my little pencil mark. Make sure you are straight. Now you may have a little excess off to the side to the right. Oops. And that's okay. It's just going to wrap over. You may be a little more than 1 inch over there. Alright, so make sure I got my line over here pretty good. Okay, so this is pretty much what mine looks like. I do have a little bit more than 1 inch over here, and that's okay. Alright, let's grab that first piece of chipboard. Make sure that it's straight. If you need to adjust, if you have it going down a little more, didn't quite, you can erase these lines and then redraw it out. I'm going to set this to the side. It's time to get our score tape. Now we're going to place score tape to start. We're going to go around the edge like a picture frame. And I am actually going to use my 3/8 at this point and go around. Now you can go down and tear it off and go down or whatever. I'm just going to wrap mine. It's easier, faster for me. Okay, next thing we're going to go one down the middle. We do have that little Dritz hook and eye that's going to be attaching to this side and the other side of our large chipboard covers. So just in case you get turned around, the best rule of thumb is just to go 2 down each side here. Now I want you to put one down the middle, between, and then we can put one here. I think that's plenty. I don't think we're going to need anything else there. So whatever you did like this, we're going to do the same on this one. Okay, once you've done that, grab your bone folder, and this is where we're going to burnish down all of our score tape on both of these. So let's do that. Our spine piece here. Let's grab our 3/8 score tape. Hello, where's the end? Here it is. We're going to go around the edges like a picture frame, like what we did with the other one there, the front and back covers. This is our spine. Okay, we won't have too much as far as heavy embellishments, so let's just go one here and one here. That's plenty. And then we're going to burnish that down. Really good. Okie dokie, let's grab our stuff here and let's get these down. So, first things first, this is really easy. We're going to remove all the score tape backing from this. And you know that first little rectangle you drew? we're going to place that right in there. Now you have a space in between, remember, so we'll remove the score tape off the spine and we'll place it right there. And then this just goes on this side. So I'm going to remove the score tape backing off all my stuff and we'll place this together. Here we go. First one, I'm just going to stick right in there. Trying to keep it straight with my drawing. Got my spine. And I'm making sure I leave that gap in between. I'm trying to keep it straight with the top of this. So again, you can always put your ruler down to make sure that you are butting up with that when placing it. And then this one. And remember, you got to leave that spacing. Okay, it's all down. All right, so one thing we're going to take a moment and use our tool and burnish down. Okay, one thing I want you to do is just start bending your paper to create that crease, okay? You can use your scoring tool actually to help you by just running it along the edge. It helps to get that. Okay. Now for the sides, just kind of wrapping that up and over. And I have my seam right there and over here. Okay, so using 65-pound, you don't have to work it as much as you would a heavier cardstock. So this will be really quite easy to get it to fold over for you. All right, so we do have to clip the corners here, and that is actually called mitering. At least some people call it. So what I like to do is we're going to measure out from the corner of your chipboard about 1/8 inch. Okay, and we'll make a pencil mark at that 1/8 inch. And we're going to do that for each corner. And what this is going to do is give us enough space so when we are wrapping it, we get a nice wrap around the edges. And it's not all cut off. So I think I need to be right here. Or you can just eyeball it too, if you're good at that. Okay. I like to try and get a straight corner where it looks like a nice little triangle. So I just kind of take my ruler sometimes, or I just draw it, or I just snip it. I'm going to show you this. So I'm going to bring it up to that little line, and I'm going to kind of look at the triangle I've made. If it looks pretty good, I'll just draw a line. And that will help get as best we can here before we cut anyway. So over here is going to be a little bit different because we might have a little bit more over there, and that's okay. And I'm just going to draw. Okay, scissors, guys. All I'm going to do is cut right on that line. Okay. Don't have to be completely perfect, but it is nice to get a straight line there for you. Whoops. That is all good. Before we go any farther with laying our score tape, we're going to grab our Tyvek. Okay? Our Tyvek should be 8 inches long and about 1.5 inches wide. All we're going to do is lay it down over those pieces. So grab your 3/8 score tape, and you will lay that right at the edge of your chipboard. Right there. And you'll do it right here on the edge over here, the spine piece, and right at the edge of your cover. So there's no score tape in the valleys there. Let's get our bone folder and smooth that out. Okay, time for your Tyvek. Let's go ahead and remove the score tape backing off both sides. Hello. That was a piece of wire from my flowers. balled up on my paper. Okay, tie back. Here we go. We're just going to lay it at the bottom. Make sure you were covering your score tape side to side. And we're going to bring it all the way to the top. Okay? And when you press it down, you will see a little bit of an indent there. Perfect. That's what you want. And you're going to burnish that really good. Same goes over here. Just lay it. Bring it to the top. And you'll see a little indent there. Okay. The next thing that we are going to want is our 2x8 tie-back covers. Okay, now on this, we're going to have to put the side that has our writing down. Okay, grab your 3/8, and you can probably see where the edge of that chipboard is, and just lay a piece going down. Okay, lay 2 of them there. If it doesn't get completely covered, it's okay. And we'll do it over here. And you should have room in the center to place it down. Okay. So we're going to start here, go down the side of the spine, and one over here. And we're going to burnish that down really good. Don't worry about if you have some hangover and stuff right now. We'll get that off. Okay, all we're going to do with your two pieces of 2x8 is we're going to remove the score tape and we're going to lay that right on over it. And it should cover it completely if you're using 3/8. Okay, remember your writing is down. Just place it over your stickies and bring that straight up. Okay, you can use this to burnish it down. Okay, we can continue on at this point. As far as the score tape goes, we're going to just place our 3/8 and go around the outside of our chipboard like a picture frame. We'll burnish everything down as soon as we get the tape down, okay? So I have that down all the way around. I'm going to start right here, and notice that I'm going to the edge of my paper now. I did overlap on the corner. It's not going to hurt none. And I'm just going to go around this whole thing like a picture frame. So let's do that. All right, and I think I am going to go around right in the center. Run my score tape. Okay, let's burnish all this down, guys. Once you know all your score tape is down, you have burnished it, let's just remove all the score tape. And we're going to start by moving in from the side. Now this is my larger side of flap. I'm going to flip that around. I got all the score tape backing off. I'm just going to fold in my 2 sides like so. Alright, so for the corners, I'm going to kind of show you this. You can use your bone folder, but take it and go around the edge just like that. Make it turn. And what you'll see will happen is it will push in those little sides. Move it over up here. We're just going to come around the edge there. Okay, once you've done that, it is time to pull this over. Okay. Okay, once you have that, smooth it out with your tool. Make sure that's down really good. Alright, so one thing that happened with mine is the seam of my wrap went right on the edge, which didn't look very good to me. So what I did was I cut a new piece of white cardstock and I put it over to wrap over. So I do have the seam coming down right here on mine, and I'm not going to worry about that because no one's going to see it when we're done. But this is what we have so far. The next piece that we're going to lay down is that 3" by 7.5" 1/2" inner spine cover. And if you place this right on the middle of your spine, it's exactly 3 inches wide like your chipboard was, you're going to want to place this centered, top to bottom. And it will look like this. So what we're going to have to do with this one is we're going to be placing our score tape, and I'm going to use 3/8, and we are going to completely cover this whole thing with score tape. And we do want to put it on the side that has the writing because it's going to go down, and we want this completely white. So let's cover our piece. Okay, I've got my score tape down and I burnished it really good. And you'll definitely want to make sure you get the edges. So I'm going to remove the score tape backing. And when I place this, I'm going to place it directly on the spine. And I'm going to make sure I clip off any overhang of score tape before I do this. But I'm just going to center that from the top and the bottom. There should be a 1/2 inch down here and a 1/2 inch headroom up here. And we're going to place that together. So let me get my score tape off and snip off any ends that are peeking over. Alright, I'm getting ready to place it. Another rule of thumb about score tape is you're going to want to make sure that you wash your hands completely, soap and water, dry them off, and free your hands of any lotions or oils on your skin. That is what is going to help your adhesive stay put. So I'm going to try and get this as even as I can here, and I'm going to place it. Next I'm going to burnish it down. And because this is such a large, wide album, we are going to need to reinforce our hinging. And we'll get to that, and we'll be doing that with some decorative paper, actually. Okay, what we need now is well, first, you can close your album and see how you did. If you get the splits, don't worry, because we are going to be, after we get our decorated paper down, we are going to be wrapping some lace over the edges. And your album will not fall apart. You can also put some of your glue and kind of pat it and rub it in to reinforce some of those shards if you got it. I did not get that. I am not splitting anywhere. So, all right. Next thing, you have about 5 pieces that are 7.5 by 10 1/16. Looks like I got a little bit of pencil lead on my paper. Okay, we did score that, and we ended up placing these down, and when they were down on our scoring board, we had it to where we were 10 1/16 inch across our board. We measured over 9.5 inches, and we scored once. So on all those score lines, what we're going to do is we're going to fold, and here's my other tool, and we are going to burnish down. Okay, so let's do that, and don't worry about your pencil marks. Those do get covered up with our, where's my other one? With our decorative paper. And another thing working with white cardstock is fingerprints get on here. So I constantly have to wash my hands throughout the projects I make with white cardstock. Okay, we're going to flip these all over to where we can see where the peak is up. We're going to lay our 3/8 inch score tape right there between the score line and the edge of our paper. It should fit in there perfectly. Okay, then we're just going to burnish that down. So let's do each and every one of our pages. Okay, so here we go. These are our pages. And I didn't mark all of mine, I just marked the one and put it in a stack. This is our 7.5 by 10 1/16. And all we're going to do is remove this score tape. Now, what you're going to have is your 3-inch spine. And when we remove the score tape backing, we're just going to line that right up with the edge of our white paper here. and top to bottom it will fit. And we're going to place it. So I'm going to get mine. Oh, one quick thing. This is definitely something you have to do. After you do your score tape, you burnish it down, double check yourself. Make sure you don't have any of that score tape peeking over. If you do and you're laying it down, what's going to happen? Dust, everything's going to get on that sticky thing. A little bit of stickiness that's hanging off the side there, and it won't look real good over time. So I'm just going to place that, the edge, straight. And that's all there is to it. Now I'm going to use the back end of my tool here, and I'm just going to press that down, burnish it down. Okay, there's our first one. I'm on to my next. Okay, easy. So I'm just going to place this little hinge here right up next to the other one, line it up top to bottom, and press down. This system is just so darn easy. And then I'm just going to burnish it down. Okay, they should fall all right in line with each other, as you can see. And we'll keep doing and placing these together. Now, a quick tip that if you get your hinges on here crooked, okay, meaning it's not, you can tell if you're looking at this and it looks like you're over a little more than the other, you can correct yourself. I'm pretty straight there, but you can, by maneuvering your piece just a little bit, to fix it. So. Okay. And here is my last one. Just take your time. Okay, our pages are in. So your book should be like this, and that looks pretty good to me. Right on. Okay, you know what, guys? We are on to decorating the cover. Woohoo! We are on to decorating our cover. Now you should have 3 paper packs, and what we're going to do is grab a pen or whatever, and I'm going to write number 1. Whoops, that one hard to see. I'm going to go a little thicker. 1, 2, and 3. This is, by doing that right in the middle there, that is going to help me guide you where I am grabbing the paper from. Because as we grab pieces from this and this and this, it will save you time as far as where to look for that piece of paper. So we're going to start with 1 here. And in here we are going to find this gorgeous print. Looks like that. And we are also going to grab out of book 2. And we're going to grab that print as well, the same one. And I'll hold it up so you can see a little better. So I'm grabbing from each. I have this. And on this side, it looks like this. Isn't that gorgeous? So I got both of these, and the way we're going to cut is by looking at it like this. Now, even though we're going to be using this side down, I want to make sure that we all have the same leftover cuts. So when we grab from our reserve pile, which is also our scrap pile, we'll have the same pieces. It's easier to locate. A scrap pile and reserve pile. I usually call it reserves. And all that is once we've cut and we got the paper we need, I'll be telling you to put the leftovers into your reserves. I'll also, if on the white cardstock, what you had left after making the cuts here, on your album bases, you should have a pile of that so you can grab at that first in case I need to add anything else as we go. Because I am building this as I go. I have kind of done the layout with the measurements, so we all have that to go. But sometimes I like to add a little extra. But anyway, you have both of these sheets. I'm going to double mine up so they are the same like that. And I'm going to turn it so I'm looking at it like this. I'm going to measure over 7 7/8 inch and cut. For now, let's stick these in our reserve pile. Look at it to where you have the rows up in the upper left-hand corner. Measure over 10 inches and cut. These pieces here, just stick in your reserves for now. All right, flip these over. These are going to be for our front and back cover. We're going to apply our score tape to this side though. So the first thing that we're going to want to do, whatever we do on this one, we're going to do the same on this one. I'm going to grab my 3/8 inch score tape and I'm going to go around the outside like a picture frame to start. So this is what you should have. All right, we're going to go one down the middle. We're also going to stick one right next to that other one here on each side. For the back, you know what? For this back one, we'll do it a little bit differently. I don't think we need quite as much score tape for that. Okay, we're going to go one in between here, one in between here. We're going to make sure that this does not lift or bubble, and we're going to go right over here. There's no way that anything that we put on the cover should buckle by doing this. Let's grab our tool and make sure all the air bubbles are out. Burnish that down really good, especially along the edges. If you got any score tape that happened to peek over the side, clip it. Okay, so this is our front. Let's just lay our front first, and then we will do our back sheet. Okay, here's the front, and we probably all have that same seam going down right here. All we're going to do is remove the score tape backing, and when we place this, and I'm going to hold mine like this, when we place this, here's my opening edge, we're just going to place this so we have, I'd say about a 1/16 inch of white showing here, and we'll have about a 1/16 inch of white bottom and top, and we will have just enough to come to the edge over here. Okay, so I'm going to remove my backing here and lay my page. Okay, I have the score tape backing off. I'm going to turn my page so I'm looking at it like this. It's easier for me to see. And guide it on down. Okay, one thing you can do is open up your album. Make sure you don't crumple your pages, but we'll want to use our bone tool to make sure, especially around those corners, everywhere, make sure that is down good. Okay, there is our front, and one thing I'm going to have you do is on the inside of the front, I'm going to have you right front, right there. Okay, so you don't get turned around until we get to that place anyway in the tutorial. Okay, here's our next one. Let's go around the outside like a picture frame. Let's go one down the middle. And we'll go one right here, one over here, one here. Actually, we're just going to do the same as did before, I think. Let's just be on the safe side in case you guys get turned around. So just kind of go about doing it like this, okay? Okay, let's use our bone folder. And a lot of times if you really look, you can see how it is smoothing it down and getting that air out of there. Okay, for the back, we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to release our score tape, and we're going to place that the same way we did the front. So let's do that. Got mine down. Okay, open it up. Remember, we wrote front here. We're going to write back. Let's get our paper for this. Grab this out of your reserves, and the first cut we're going to make is measuring over 7 7/8 inch and cut. We're going to stick this in our reserves. Okay, looking at it like this, your piece, I want you to measure over 3/8 inch and cut. Okay, we're going to have some scraps that are small that may seem unuseful. Please do not throw this away. It may be useful somewhere in the tutorial. Okay, so keep everything until the project is done. Okay, so we trimmed there. We're going to measure over 3 inches and cut. Put that small piece in your reserves. Alrighty, let's get our score tape out. I'm going to use my 3/8. I'm going to go around the outside like a picture frame to start. Next, all we're going to do is place 2 centered in between those sides. And then we're going to use our tool and burnish that down really good. So once you've burnished this down, here's the top and bottom of my album. I find it easier to just stand up and kind of look what I'm doing and center that. And we will place it just like that. Isn't that pretty? I've got mine down. It's time to get our 3.5 inch lace out. And what we're going to do is cut a piece. And for me, where mine was started looks like this. I'm going to kind of trim this up to even it up here. So I'm starting with a flat edge. Then I'm just going to measure from top to bottom what I need. And I can just guesstimate here. And then I can always trim it once I got it down. So I'm going to need a piece for the front and the back. So let's cut a couple pieces that will fit for the front and back. Okay, word of the wise, do not use score tape to adhere down your lace. Not on an album anyway. If you're doing it on cards and stuff, it may work. But all we're going to do is wrap this. So there's lace here and lace here. So by the time we get both of these sides on, we've got a gorgeous spine that we can add an embellishment to. Isn't that pretty? All right. Glue. I am using my art glitter, dries clear. If you are using hot glue, I recommend against when you're using something white to put a little tack down to start you fine, but hot glue can sometimes turn yellow. It can seep through and make a blemish. So this will glue down your lace, and it works very well. You'll want to close your album up like so when you're doing this. Me, I just start off with some glue like this, and then I come back. So you are going to want to get on the edge there, right on this, where the edge of your spine, where it folds open, and over the top. And like I said, we can definitely, which side is what here? I think that is the way it goes. Okay, and I can clean up any glue, so I'm going to go right down the middle there. Let's see. That looks pretty even going over. Okay, once you have your piece down, just kind of pat it down a little, clean up any glue. Lift up your little things here so if ever it gets caught on something, it won't rip up. We'll be applying glue to the lace that wraps over. That's already down. Now, you have it on the corner. Do not open it up and glue your lace down. You have to do it when it's shut. And the reason why is the same way. The reason why we had to put a space in between, it's got to be able to go. So once we do it like this, you'll be able to open and shut your album. So with this, we're just going to fold it back, get right in there, and add your glue. And then once you've done this, you can then do for the back. So I'm gonna make sure I got this all down, and I'll be right back. All right, I've got my lace glued down, and I'm gonna show you what my spine ended up looking like. How pretty is that? And I can see the colors of that rose popping through to give some color there. And then the back. Perfect. If yours don't quite touch, it's okay. You have more color poking through, and it's beautiful like that. So I didn't originally intend to have mine touch, but they did. And it looks good. In paper pack 1, you will find this print. On the back, you will find this. For now, all we want to do is cut out this one panel piece right here. I think I showed you what the back looks like. So it's this one. And we're just going to cut. We're not going to divide them just yet. So when you put it on your paper cutter, just only cut up to here and then over. Stick this in your reserves. Now what we're going to do is, this is mine after I made the cuts. I'm just going to cut off this white part around it. You're going to want to cut one out of your leftover white cardstocks in your reserves. A piece that is 3 3/4 inch by 5 5/8 inch. This was not in your pre-cut measurements, so we will have some of these to cut as we go. Okay, this piece. Once you've had that cut, if you notice, if you place that in the center, you should have a little bit of white showing around the edges. That's going to look very nice and separate out our paper. So we're going to apply glue to the back of this, and we'll glue that right on down. Propping my album up so everyone can see what I'm doing. We're not going to glue this down just yet. Okay, do not glue. Okay, we're setting that aside. Your rose type of pearly trim, or whatever we're calling that, what you're going to want to do is lay it down top to bottom and cut a piece for the back and the front. Okay, now when you cut this, it's going to want to unravel on you. So this is where your binder clips or just a little bit of hot glue at the edge up here to seal it off is going to work. But what we're going to do is we're going to glue that down right like this on both. And I think you can see that. Now, once your glue dries and all that, let's grab our dreads, hook and eye. Whoops! The part that gets glued down now is the eye. All we're going to do on this is just use it for measurement for now. And, whoops, I've got everything out here. Okay, so this glue will hold this down. So I'm just going to put some glue around here, come halfway up here. And you will want a binder clip, and you will place it centered, top to bottom. I think that's pretty centered. Well, once you have it there, put this through to make sure you can get through easily. And that way you can measure in and out by pushing it in and out what you need. Okay, so I have mine where it needs to be. And now this is where your clip comes in handy. Just clamp that down. If you have binder clips, that works too. Okay, in the meantime, our other lace, the open weave, we are going to cut a piece that fits from the tip of your thing there to the side. So you may be able to get it to where it fits right in the groove. So we will cut a piece to fit from that point over to the side. But we can't glue it down yet till this dritz is done, but at least we can get it ready to go. Okay, while everything is gluing down, I have some flat back pearls. Because it is going on top of the fabric here and I want it to adhere quickly, I am going to use my hot glue. I'll place one here. And I'll place one here. Trying to space this out. Put one here. This looks pretty even to me, at least from where I'm sitting. It may be off a little. And let's see here. No, I think I just like the 3 right there. That's good. And what you will do on the back of your album is the same thing. 3 on the back. Okay, the other side of our dritz gets put on last. So I'm going to just slip that back in there. Things that we are going to need, of course, is this piece that I had you cut. We're going to need one of the butterflies by Darling Art by Valerie. And we're going to need some flowers. We have our piece here, this piece. And I think it's the butterfly. Another thing that you're going to want to prepare is one of these, and that was using the punch and then using the peeled paint distressing by Tim Holtz to ink it up. Okay. I'm using some of this little pearly strand, really petite stuff here. And all I did was cut maybe, how big is that? About 6 inches worth. All right. Next thing we're going to want is some of those baby Tim Holtz white little flowers. And we can cut as we need. I have 3 of the larger Shabby Rose Blush flowers. I have 3 of the Shabby Rosebud Blush flowers. And I may or not use those all. And I have 3 of the Fabric Peach flowers ready to go here. And you may need your wire snips to snip off your pieces, these. And we're going to need our diamond stickles. You'll want to snip off about 5 inches of your 3/4 flat Rochelle lace. And of course you're going to want your, what do we got here? Some ribbon ready to go here. Some of your 1/16 or whatever you're using. Okay, my dritz is not quite dry enough, but I'm going to get it started. So don't push down on yours. It may not be either. We're going to apply glue to this, and we're going to glue it down. Notice how the piece comes over the dritz. I'm going to zoom in. See that? Comes right over that little part on the dritz, but not over too far. So I'm going to apply glue and glue that down. Now, when gluing this down, we're definitely going to want to make sure we get some glue underneath this little lattice, or whatever you want to call, a little weave part under there. And I put glue behind up here and down here. And I'm going to let that dry. And I'm also going to clamp this down again. Okay, so we're going to make sure that we got glue over here too. Looks okay. Kind of pat that down. I'm going to give this about 10 minutes to make sure it's really dried good. And then we will continue on. I think it's time to start putting some of this together. Okay. Let's see if I can remember what I wanted to do. Okay, so this is going to be glued down. Now I realize that it wants to pop up because of this, but that's okay. We are going to just have it adhere down like that. So I am going to apply glue to the back of this, making sure I get enough on there, especially in the middle area where the glue is going to want to absorb into the fabric. So it's going to go in there. I'm just going to dot some extras in there. If you want to put a little dab of hot glue in there, you do that. Go right on ahead. So What I'm going to do is open my book up and lay it flat. And that way I can see what I'm doing here and get it straight. Now, your little green vine, we're going to stick off like this. So we're going to want to make sure that we do kind of get that glue on the edges of those leaves so that it doesn't pop up and catch in case you rub your album against something. I think I got it pretty good. And I'm just going to place it off at an angle. With this, so all this is for is all it's going to do is we're going to glue it kind of like this so that these are off to the side, but this is why I want to use hot glue. And I'll cover up anything that, I think right about there, that will show. So right like this, off to the side, and out. And I'll clean up that glue strings here, and I'm just going to leave that floppy around. I'll zoom in so you can see a little better. Gosh, isn't that pretty so far? Just the paper alone is amazing. All right, what did I want to do next in my layering? I think we can add our little laces and our ribbon later. So let's start, and I am going to use hot glue. You will notice that these are kind of stiff, and these may want to curl. So I'm going to add some hot glue to this to help it hold faster. All right. I got another one of my larger ones here. And we do have something else to get from the paper pack, but we'll get that in just a moment. And then we have this other regular size one, and that's just going to come right like that. Okay, these are exceptionally stiff, so I'm just going to pull up the leaves a little bit. Add some glue, and I'm going to stick that one right there. Hold it for a moment. I'll grab another one of these, and these are the blush rosebuds. You won't need to add any glossy accents to stiffen up these. They're already stiff and they're durable. And I got one more. Okay, your fabric peach flowers. We'll stick one right here. And we'll add the white little flowers last. And I got one right here. And this guy is going right here. Just kind of push them in. And I got one more of those fabric flowers. And this one goes right here. Let's add some white flowers. I got a whole bunch clipped off. I'm going to put one here. Now one thing is if your little spray comes out the middle, because we clipped it so short, you just add a little glue to that and stick it back in. I'll clean up the glue strings in just a minute. I thought I had another one here. I do. some white going up there. I want to add a little bit of white in here. And I think right there's a good spot. Just tuck it under a little. Now this one I'm going to stick right in between a couple of these flowers in there. And looks like I found one of these little guys, the little sprays. Oh, I want that right there. Just going to kind of tuck him underneath. Stick him in there. I'm going to grab one more of these fabric peach. I'll put some glue right there. Perfect. What do you think? I think that's kind of pretty. We're not quite done yet. I do want to add a couple whites in through there. For now, I think that's good enough. Okay, we need to get into our paper pack. In paper pack 1, you will find this cut apart sheet, as well as on the back it looks like this. So what we're going to do is we are going to cut up and around. We'll fussy cut around this. Try to leave some of the brown. If you can't leave the brown, you can always use brown ink to ink back around. But we'll also fussy cut this out as well. So I'm just going to use my scissors. I don't know if I'm going to use this on the cover, maybe. But we'll get both of these out. Okay, this goes in our reserves. And let's fussy cut both of these just in case I decide I think I am going to use this. That is adorable. I've got both of mine cut out. I did ink around the edges of this one with the brown. And I went back and did a little touch up with my brown on this. Now because this is on the cover, I am really funny about backing things with the heavier duty cardstock. So I am going to back this to black or white cardstock. I'm not going to leave any edges of white around it. I'm just going to lay it down and cut that right on out. And that's going to thicken this up a little bit for me. So let's do that and we'll cut around and get that ready. In the meantime, let's see, I should have something else. I'm going to also mount this to white cardstock. Do not leave a white border around. You're just going to glue it down to white cardstock and then we're going to cut out and around. Okay, let's apply glue first to this one. We're going to do some layering here. We're just going to slide that if you can get it back behind a little bit. And it's going to go there. Make sure it gets down on the paper. I know it's on the lace, but let's just make sure we get that down over there. And I have mine slightly at an angle. And then for the sentiment, every once in a while, in the middle of an ordinary life, love gives us a fairy tale. Perfect. All right, let's see. The beautiful, gorgeous butterfly. And I think, which way do I want to do this? Which way do I want them to go? Like this or like this? Oh, that's hard. We're going out like that. Okay, these are heavy duty. You don't need to put anything on it. I am going to put some glue there. And this guy goes right like this. So he does need to dry. Okay, let's cover up our drits before we move on while this dries. You don't have to purchase these. I said that in the materials list. However, I am going to use this, and it is metal on the back. An easier way to adhere this down is to first adhere it down to a small piece of cardstock, and you'll just cut a piece of cardstock that is the size behind. You can just eyeball this. I have no idea what size I'm cutting, and I'll just place that down. And you won't be able to see that. Next, and the reason why I do that is it gives it more to hold on to because there's a dip. Next, what I'm going to do, place some glue, and when you place this down, make sure you do not interfere with where the hook will go through. Okay, you can clamp that down with a binder clip or whatever you got, and we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes to dry. Okay, while that dries, we had cut about a 5-inch piece. Okay, I'm going to use my hot glue gun, but somewhere in the middle there, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, and I'm going to fold this over. Be careful not to burn yourself, to where it is like this. I'll just clip up at an angle if I can. These scissors may need help. Okay, you have your spray here. You can lift that up and glue that right underneath that spray. And I'm going to use a hot glue for quickness. I'll tuck that up and just get that right underneath there. Out of my little ribbon, I'm going to make a bow. So, got my bow. I'll do the rest up there. I got my spray, and then I'm going to want to bring that up right about there, I think. So you've got your ribbons, and you've got your lace. There. I think that looks good. Now we wait for drying. Almost forgotten. I'm going to pull this in. Stickles. That's what I'm missing. So I'm going to add stickles to my flowers. And it will also lighten up, I believe, some of these blush. So I am adding it to these roses and some leaves here, around here, and then I'm going to show you what that did for me. Alright, I have added my stickles. They are still wet, and I even put some stickles on that little scroll above the sentiment there. I don't know if you can tell or not, but my stickles are on there. Can you see that? Kind of shimmering around. Okay, we are letting our stuff continue to dry, and then we'll move on to the inside of the album. I think that looks really pretty. So we are on page 1, but there was one thing I want to do, and what you can do is prepare this. I did use this to cut out, and I just kind of made a small little branch and inked it and put some stickles. I'm going to just slide that right there on my book. So I'm going to glue that really quick. That is extra if you'd like to do it as well. I did add a couple flowers right here too, so it's all a matter of taste what we do here. And I may add an extra wide flower right here. Okay, page 1. Let's go over our pieces that we did. So I'm just gonna put these off to the side. and we'll review our scoring. So we cut 2 pieces that were 7 1/4 by 8 inch. Okay, on one of them we scored at a 1/2 inch and we labeled fold out left side. On the other one, which was the same, 7 1/4 by 8 inches, we labeled fold out right side and we had scored at 7 1/2 inches. We also did, and let me go through this, we also cut 2 pieces that were 1 5/8 by 7 1/4, and we called this trim fold out. And we wrote our stuff down here lightly with some pencil. We have 2 of those. We cut a 5 1/4 by 6 1/2 picture mat pocket, page 1. And I'm not sure if you can see all this. We also cut a 6 by 6 piece, and we scored at a 1/2 inch, 5 1/2 inch, and then we rotated once and scored at a 1/2 inch. This was labeled fold out back pocket. The next one was fold out middle pocket, and this was a 5 by 6. We scored at a 1/2 inch, 5 1/2 inch, because we're 6 inches wide across the board here. We rotated it once and scored at a 1/2 inch. We also cut 2 pieces that were 4 7/16 by 6 7/8. Okay, one of them is magnetic flip bottom, one is magnetic flip top. Let's do the bottom one. We had put this across the board, and let's see here, where did we score those? We had it going 6 inches or 6 7/8 across the board. Okay, this is the bottom one, and we scored at 6 1/8 and 6 1/4. The magnetic flip top, we scored at 6 1/4 and 6 3/8. Just like that. The last one that we had was a fold out pocket front, and this was a 4 by 6. We scored at a 1/2 inch, 5 1/2, and a 1/2. Okay, we are ready to start. We're just going to set these off to the side, and we're going to dig into our paper pack to get our base page. In your paper pack 1, you will find this gorgeous print. On the back is this. Okay, we are going to flip this to where it is showing like this. Your little rose is more to the left. Measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. We can put this in our reserves for now. Now we're going to measure over 9 1/4 inches and cut. We're going to be looking at our page like this, so that this is over here. Okay, let's just scoot this off to the side. The first thing that we are going to work with is our fold out left side and our fold out right side. Grab your 2 1 5/8 by 7 1/4 trim pieces. You can now erase what you wrote. And for those of you using paper punches, do not use this, because this will cut it completely up. But if you're using like the embroidery or large punch, what you're going to do is you're going to punch along the long side. Those of us using dies, let's get our frame a card leafy die out. It's actually called the leafy borders. The one we want is the largest one. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring that down like so, and we're going to center this from top and bottom. We're going to have to bring it in a little bit. So let's grab a pencil and your ruler. Measure in from the side, I would say 1/4 of an inch, and just make a pencil mark there. That is where we're going to put the edge, right there at the pencil mark, and then we'll center that top and bottom. And then what we're going to do is run this through our die cutter. We're going to do the same thing on this one. So you'll want to measure on this one about 1/4 inch in, and then you'll place your plate. Okay, die cutters, let's get ready. Okay, what I want you to do, both people who use the punches and die cut, isn't that pretty, guys? Okay, what you want to do is, I have my left side fold out here handy. Go ahead and fold on that score line and just tuck that back behind. Okay, I want you to place this down once that's back behind and bring it all the way to the left side of your page, like so. Next, what I want you to do is place your piece down, and it should fit top to bottom perfectly to where you are not going over. You should be able to have some of your decorative paper showing. You definitely don't want to be at the total edge there, but just bring it in enough. When we lay this down, we want to lay it down to where we can see some of the paper come through, and then we'll just bring that up into where we can't see it anymore. Now, take a look. This is our trim. Now, I realize those of you that have punches could have just punched on this, but I want to keep us all together. So we are adding trim as we go. One thing about us die cutters, if you notice, when we die cut, here's the smaller part where we measured in 1/4 inch. We'll have a little wider on this side. Now, because we have that curve, what I had in mind, and I'm going to put both mine together, and when I put them both together, make sure they match up perfectly, at least top and sides and everything. They should be something like this when you put them together. I am going to cut at an angle, like so. I'm going to keep them together to try and keep them straight. Okay, so now your trim should look like this. And when you place it, there is still enough over here to grab, because you want to be able to keep a little border on the side. Now, isn't that pretty? I think that's going to look absolutely gorgeous. And those of you that paper punched, take a look at what you have. It's lovely. Okay, push this back out of the side. We're going to apply our 3/8 score tape to the edge. Here's our fold out little flap, and we're working with the left side. Make sure it's tucked in. We need our 3/8 score tape, and mine got legs and ran away from me. It sure did. Wow, where'd it go? Oh, come here. That's 1/4 inch. My, it does not like me today. Here it is. Aha! Here. Okay, make sure that I'm using the 3/8 because it's perfect for my little ledge here. Check to see people who punch, do you need to use your 3/8 to get underneath there, or do you have to use the 1/4 inch. So it's totally up to you. So we're going to do one thing at a time. Make sure you burnish that down, and you will clip off any score tape that might be hanging over the edge, which I did get. Okay, and I got one of these. Now we're going to just add our trim. So just line that up and line it up here. All right, that's one side. Here's our right side. I've already folded my flap, and it's off to the right, and I've tucked it back behind. And sometimes it's just easier to do it that way. And I'm going to add my score tape to this side now. And we'll attach our trim pieces. And I'll just flip this right on over like so. And I'll do the same thing I did before. Erase a little bit. Okay, so this is what we have. This looks good. You should be evened up if you put your 2 pieces die cutters. All right, so what we want to do is fold this over. Our flaps are now on the inside. Okay, so this is our left, and all I'm doing is flipping it over. My right, flipping it over. Let's find some paper for in here. Okay, in paper pack 1 and 2, you will find this gorgeous print on the back. It's the musical notes. So grab both of those out, and we're just going to double it up like this. So on both being doubled up, we're going to measure over 7 1/4 inches and cut. You'll want to stick both of these small pieces in your reserves. Now I have both of these doubled up. We'll turn and look at it like this. We will measure over 7 inches and cut. So for the left side, we are ready to glue this down. If you notice, when you place it down, you will have, and I already started my glue on that. I'm going to set it aside. So we're working on the left side only. If you were to place this down, you will notice that you will have a nice white border if you center this, top and bottom. You'll want to leave a little bit of a white border here on the side. And over here, you will be about 1/8 inch in from that score line to stay away from it. So this one we're going to hold off on gluing down. We're going to glue down this side first. All right, we are down. So that side is down. For this side, we have to place a magnet first. So I'm going to grab one of my magnets. So I'm just going to place my magnet on this one. This is our left side. Didn't mean to confuse you. And it comes in about 3/4 of an inch in. Plenty. Okay, now it is okay to apply glue and glue this down. And we're going to do it in the same manner of which we did this side, leaving about 1/8 inch in of spacing for our decorated paper away from that hinge. Okay, and that will give us the same borders all the way around. So let's do that. We're going to attach our left side fold out. So underneath here is this. We are just going to flatten this out, and we're going to put our 3/8 inch score tape right on that hinge there, in between the score line and the edge of our paper there. We definitely need to burnish that down. Before I take this off, I'm going to tell you what we're going to do when we release that score tape. We're going to fold that back behind, and we are going to line this up top, bottom, and side of our paper, making sure that it is straight. And we will adhere that down. So we're going to do that together. And you can just take your time. I'm kind of holding it back with my fingers there, just trying to get me started. Okay, once you have that down, you're going to open that up and we are going to burnish that down. That looks good. Let's open that up and we're going to do the same thing with this one. Okay, we're just going to fold this over so we're looking at it. This is our right side, and we're going to apply our score tape over here. And you will need to do this while this is open, or you might catch on it. If you have any score tape peeking over the edges, you definitely are going to want to do something about that. Now you can hook it on like this, but I recommend doing it like this. Okay, so you want this open to start, just to kind of eyeball things, and then you can check your work. So I'm going to line that up best I can, the edge. Make sure I'm straight there. Straight as I can be anyway. Open that up, burnish it down. Okay, fold in one, fold in the other. You should look like this. Grab the mate to that magnet, let it find itself. Now this is a trick. Put a little dot of glue in the center. What you're going to want to do is just bring this over, make sure you are lined up top and bottom. And then you're going to bring it down, press, open it up. Now you know where this mate needs to go. Word of the wise, there's glue here. You're going to look for the side that has the glue on your magnet, glue to glue. Otherwise, if you place it the wrong way, it's not going to work. In fact, it's going to push your page up. So we got that. All right, we're going to piggyback 2 pieces, and it's going to look really good. So in your reserves, you should find these 2 pieces. On the back, they look like this. So take a moment. On one, we're going to leave alone. But on the other one, we're going to look at it like this. We're going to measure over 2 5/8 inch and cut. Keep the lacy side. This one can go back into our reserves. All right, this is real simple. We're going to apply glue to this, and this will fit side to side perfectly. You're going to leave a little bit of a white border up there. You'll have a white border on the right and the left. So let's first get this piece down. I started using my bone folder when using the glue, as it helps to get down edges that I don't see. Okay, so that part is down. This one is just going to glue right on top, leaving a white border, and it should be the same size width as that. And it's going to match in perfectly. So let's apply glue to this and glue that down. I am going to put some glue on my magnet and around it, okay, for this glue to work. That's what's so wonderful about it. It doesn't saturate your page so much that it creates, you put too much glue down and it will create a wrinkly effect. Okay, I got mine down. I'm just going to smooth it all down. Where that seam is, especially. So I think that looks very pretty. Let's try your thing. It should attach. We'll open that back up. This is what you should have. Do not worry about your white hinge here. We will take care of that. Close it up. Let's get ready for our fun little pockets, and let's get our paper for this. In your reserves, you should find a piece like this. It's approximately 7 1/4 by, what is that? About 2 3/4. On the back, it looks like this. Looking at it like this, just measure over 7 inches and cut. Let's apply glue, and we're going to glue that down, and we are going to center that top to bottom and leave yourself a little bit of a white border over here. In your reserves, you will find this print. It's 12 inches long. It has this on the back. The first thing we're going to do is measure over 3 inches and cut. Now, looking at it like this, measure over 4 3/8 and cut. Okay, once you have that cut, what you want to do is butt that up right next to this one, keeping it straight. You will notice that if you push it together, you really cannot see the seam line, and it gives you enough space over here for your trim. We're going to apply glue to this. We're going to butt this up really good, so make sure you get your glue there, and we're going to place it. You'll want to use your bone folder to make sure that seam matches up and that you really can't tell where the paper splits. So I'm going to do mine and I'll show you. I got mine down, and once we place our pockets, you're really not going to be able to see or feel that seam. Let's grab our fold out back pocket 6x6. Those of you using the paper punches and die cutters, notice here, and I'm going to open up the light just a little better in here. It seems to be, so I hope that ain't too much. Okay, we have this. We have a bottom score line and 2 side ones. There's no score line up here. So those of you that are using your large deep edge punch, you can punch along the long side. So go ahead and do that. I am back in my little leafy borders. This is the largest one. If you notice, if you place that all the way to the top, the 2 pieces right here match up with your score lines. Okay, I want you to bring it down 1/4 of an inch like we did before, just like that. And make sure you're even side to side, you're lined up with your score lines, and we're going to die cut that. So let's do that. We're also going to do it on each one of these on the top. So you all can go ahead and get those ready. Die cutters, because we are 6 inches wide on all of these, we're going to use the large bracket and just do the same thing. So bring it down 1/4 inch, line it up, die cut on the top of each pocket. Okay, I've got all mine. One thing I did want to do on this one is erase some of that pencil mark that kind of showed up on my trim there. Okay, we're going to work first with the large one, and we are going to grab our scissors. And you see here where our score lines made a little square in the corners, we're going to cut those little squares out. Okay, so once you have that, fold it over, and you'll want to use your foam folder to help you. And then we're going to fold in the sides. Now be careful on up here where your die is, okay? We're just, whatever you have left, that is fine. Just be careful. We will be adhering that down. And we will do the same up here. Okay, the first ones to go in, I got a little piece of thing, are the sides. And then comes the bottom. So what we're going to do is just apply some glue right down here, and you can see how far over the edge you should go, because we don't want to put glue on over here, and we'll do that. A good rule of thumb here is when you are doing this, grab a piece of scratch cardstock, slide it in, and I'll need one for the other side here, I think. And what this is going to do is catch any glue that squirts out. That would stop your pocket from actually working. So there is our one, and how this is going to place once we get our adhesive down here. It's going to come all the way to the side and line up with the bottom of your decorated paper, and it's going to place just like that. Isn't that pretty? All right, because we have these decorative part, we are going to have to place glue on this part. If you want to use glue for this whole thing, you can. I am going to use my 3/8 score tape. And I'm going to get it right there at the edge of my paper. Any score tape that peeks over the side, definitely want to clip off. Okay, and you're going to burnish that down really good. You got your glue. I think I bumped my glue, to be honest. Now you are going to need something to put behind, especially where you put the glue. So I'm going to grab a couple pieces here to get any glue so it doesn't get on my decorative papers and doesn't glue my pocket shut. In this tutorial, you're going to learn different ways to construct pockets. This is just one. You'll learn another way to actually hinge your fold-out pages. So for me, first things first, I'm going to line this up with the bottom over here of my paper and the side of my paper. And hopefully it will go on straight. Okay, now's the time before I press all the way down is to get this in my pocket. Push it all the way down so that glue does not glue my pocket shut. Make sure it goes all the way down. Okay, now you can use your bone folder. Be careful around your die, trimmed dies. You don't want to catch it, but you can use the smoothing side there, like so. Now once you do this, you want to be quick to move this out and around. Make sure I don't feel any glue seeping out. Over here, maybe a little. That looks good. And that is really pretty. In your reserves, you will find this print. And on the back, it looks like this. We're about 12 inches across here. We're going to turn it around so the lace is over on this side. And this is approximately, as far as width goes, about 4 and close to 4 7/8 there. But if you were to lay it down this way, it's going to look really pretty. It'll fit side to side, giving us a white border. But we don't want to cut on this side just yet. What we're going to do is measure over 2 inches and cut, measure over 2 inches again and cut. This piece that's left over, don't put back in your reserve. We'll use it shortly. Just put that off to the side. The one that we want is these 2 pieces for now. Apply glue to one of these and glue that down, leaving a little bit of a white border, about a 1/16 inch of white showing there between the bottom of your trim. And you will center that side to side, giving yourself a little bit of white border over here. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Okay, we are on our middle pocket. Same routine. Let's cut out that little square from the side, the bottom. Flip it over and fold, and you burnish down that a little bit. Careful up here. Okay, the sides go in first. We'll place our glue down here. And we'll pull that up. All right, same thing. We just add some glue through here and over here. 3/8 inch score tape.